story of Winter Park begins in 1881. That was the year that a couple of old friends from New England came down here in February. They were looking for health and wealth, and I think they found it. They bought property and set out to build the first planned community in the state of Florida. Their goal was to get wealthy. This is where the old hotel sat. Now we have a museum on the grounds. That is the Palaschik Museum and Sculpture Gardens. Albin Palaschik was from Czechoslovakia, a world-renowned sculptor. The secret is it was built in 1885 across the lake. Yeah, it was there for more than 100 years, but 8 years ago somebody bought it over there. They were going to tear it down. But instead of that happening, this did. They cut it in half with big saws over there. We had a timber industry, we had lumberjacks. And they, of course, were looking for the easy way to get the logs to a sawmill on the next lake. So they looked to the streams and they turned them into canals with a little digging. They made them deeper and wider. Now, we think the original plan was to pop the logs in at this end and pick them up at the other. Well, that was never going to work. Look at the current. It goes this way. They won. Up ahead is Osceola Avenue over our heads, and our heads, our cabezas, can become a target for some pipes underneath the bridge. You may want to duck if you're tall. It's not mandatory, but it's a very good idea. Here's something Winter Park residents struggle with. 4 names for the one street in a half mile. Fairbanks, Osceola, Brewer, Aloma. Don't try to remember all the names. Do remember to duck and keep your cell phones down, otherwise you'll lose it. So this is not a drill. Please duck. And good, we're done. It didn't used to be this easy. If you look up ahead, you'll see 2 stubs. The branches of the tree up ahead, those were also natural bridges up until last week when they took them down. The lower one was only inches above our heads. So that's progress, and it opens up the canal. And he's been here for years, and he'll be right there on the way back, guaranteed, along with his buddy, the attack dog, right here.
Oh.
Alligator. Dog alligator. This is Lake Virginia, and it was named by the guy that ran the sawmill. He was from Virginia, but our first non-native settlers were actually from Georgia, right next door. Their name was Mizell. David Mizell and his family came down here just before the Civil War. They settled over here to our left, and they called their settlement Lake View. That view was a little different. Mizell, off to the left, under that bridge, you see just a little sliver of it. Now, the secret of this place, this little starter home off to the left, believe it or not, it started off as a gentleman's club. No, gentlemen, not that. This was the 1920s. The businessmen of Winter Park got together and built the center section, just that, as a park. We have about 20 of them on the property. And the good news for them is it will never be developed. So please, hang on to your hats, your children, and your checkbooks. By the way, this bird over here to the right looks like a snake. Anhinga. It is an anhinga. Anhinga. And they swim low, so you see the head and the neck. People think they're snakes. Hurry up, you know, they're just going to raise the prices. Well, they have. This is called Lakeside. 400 beds, student housing. Home of pool number 2. This one is shaped like an anchor. They love this whole nautical theme. At the other end of the park, we have a boat launch today, but we used to have a little railroad station over there. There's something called the Orlando and Winter. And if you didn't fall asleep in ancient history class, you might actually remember learning that long ago in Egypt, they figured a way of making paper out of that stuff. And of course, a lot of the Bible was written on the Bible. Back to the canal under a live oak, full of something called Spanish moss dripping from almost every branch. Turns out that's a total misnomer. No es de España. It's not from Spain. No es musgo. It's not even moss. No, the secret here is this stuff is actually a bromeliad. Bromelia. And that puts it in the same category as, get this, pineapples. Please do not put it on Hawaiian pizza. That stuff tends to be controversial as it is. To the left, a pagoda plant in orange. To the right, frog and alligator. Yes, they're statues, you caught me. Here's the banana tree, but look right, those are the bananas. We used to have a bunch right here. Somebody grabbed them a few weeks ago, so we've had to discontinue our snack tour. This is bamboo on the right. It is not native to Florida, but it grows extremely well here. The joke there is plant it and then run to the house before it catches you. It grows almost that quickly. Look above Osceola Avenue. That flowering tree is called a bougainvillea or bougainvillea. The secret there is what you see up there in roja or red. Those aren't flowers at all. Those are leaves that change color. They're called bracts. B-R-A-C-T-S. These things above our heads, these are called pipes. P-I-P-E-S. Remember them? Well, remember the time. Here's a chance to stretch your neck after all that ducking. Look up and left at the tallest and oldest live oak in Woodard Park. This is said to be older than the United States itself. Here's the trunk. Come up with your own guesstimate by years. Now here's an odd request, but humor me if you will. Anybody here with any zone known as the Palmers? The secret? That is a copy of their place up north. He just took the old blueprints, dusted them off, and built that high on a hill. But wait, there's more. Well, that was then. Let me show you now. Lake Jessup. It is said you could walk across. These two homes are both James Gamble Rogers designs. This one is getting a makeover. This one doesn't need it. See the statue? Some of our drivers call that southern exposure. Sure enough. Here's some bananas, but we'll have to wait a little bit. And we're going to need
Speakers out.
long-leafed plant with a
Your microphone's out.
More bananas, even more. And probably a shorter.
Your microphone's out.
Pardon me?
There it goes. Your microphone was out.
Thank you. The bridge.
Nope, still out.
Well, the bridge up and close to people's homes. So right now I have to turn off the mic anyway. For about 3 minutes. Now that was a little premature. That's a personal problem. But yeah, we're going to have to go find this. I do, you don't. So you can talk up the storm, but let me just kind of figure things out, and I'll get these ladies to help us out. They've been in the canal for about an hour and a half. They don't really, they have... Hey ladies, any chance you'd pull over to one of the boathouses so we can get by like last time when it took so long? This is just too crazy back and forth to be filming and not watching where I'm going. But this is a little more of Rollins College over here on the right. It's called the Bradley Boathouse. It's where the crew team hangs out. It's just 1.5 miles from campus. You'll know why I told you that a little bit later.
Huh.
And here is our largest lake. This is Lake Baitland. 455 acres, half in Wicker Park and half in the city of Baitland.
Like, what do they do for a living? Are they
Anything they want.
I mean, well, that's true, but I mean, like, are their names?
There are lawyers, there are CEOs, there are bank presidents, there are insurance companies, investment people.
And they live here all the time? Most of the
This is
time?
a community of 30,000.
Okay.
Just full of azaleas in the early spring, late winter, February, March. But the rest of the year, it's pretty much shady cypress trees. Disney would do well to send its landscapers here to pick up a few tips. 1920s, swampland. But a couple developers got the idea to dredge the lake, take the sand, pile it up there and build a nice strong island which they could then develop and then sell property to wealthy individuals so they could build estates. It didn't go well. The Great Depression was upon us. For 7 years, they just sat and waited. The thing they would want is you to stop by at dinner time with an autograph book waiting on the front porch. So we kind of keep quiet. But if somebody famous leaves town, we're on it. And there's a case in point coming right up. If you will, look to the right side of the boat. If you follow the shoreline, you'll see a series of boathouses, and then you'll see the corner of a red brick house with white trim. As soon as we see that, it's on to the next secret. Here we go. In 1948, a young man came to Rollins College, transferring in from Dartmouth. He was a music major, and brought along, they tell us, a grand piano. Well, that doesn't fit in any dorm room, so he had a problem. He called his parents. They lived outside of Pittsburgh. They talked it over and decided to get a house down here. That one. Perfect fit for the family and for the piano. He went on to greatness. He graduated, went to divinity school, became a minister, and then he went into television. Children's television. You know this guy, Fred Rogers. Mr. Rogers. That was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Let's talk a little boat tour history as we wrap up the tour. We've been at it since 1938. That means this is year 85 for us. And that means we are the oldest continually operating tourist attraction in the state of Florida. And we made it a go because of people like you from all over the globe who keep coming down the hill, riding our boats, and listening to one of the drivers tell you the stories, or in my case, the secrets of Winter Park.